The first portion of this program has been brought to you by New Soft Fabric Softener. New Soft renews the softness detergents wash away, another famous product of Best Foods. We'll continue with As the World Turns following station identification.
Here is a bulletin from CBS News. Further details on an assassination attempt against President Kennedy in Dallas, Texas. President Kennedy was shot as he drove from Dallas Airport to downtown Dallas. Governor Connally of Texas in the car with him was also shot. It is reported that 3 bullets rang out. A Secret Service man was heard to shout from the car, "He's dead." Whether he referred to President Kennedy or not is not yet known. The president, cradled in the arms of his wife, Mrs. Kennedy, was carried to an ambulance and the car rushed to Parkland Hospital outside Dallas. The president was taken to an emergency room in the hospital. We'll bring you details now, more details on the attempted assassination of President Kennedy. Mrs. Kennedy was on her knees, we're told, on the floor of the rear seat of the car, her head toward the president, apparently leaning over and trying to converse with him. AP reporter who was with the group said that this man and woman we reported earlier were on a hilltop, were seen scrambling to the upper level of a walkway overlooking an underpass to which the car was approaching. Lawrence O'Brien, the presidential aide, says he has no information on whether the president is still alive. Mrs. Kennedy was weeping, trying to hold up her husband's head when the reporters reached the car as it dashed toward the hospital. Vice President Lyndon Johnson was in the car behind the president. There was no immediate sign that he was hurt. Repeating that, no indication Vice President Johnson was hurt. In fact, there was no evidence at all at what might have happened to Johnson, since only the president's car and its Secret Service follow-up car went on to the hospital. Late information just in. Acting White House Secretary Malcolm Kilduff was asked whether the president was dead, and he said, "I have no word now." The president had landed just a short time before, as we said, at Dallas Love Field. He was driving to the Trade Mart in Dallas to deliver this luncheon speech, which was to be sponsored by 3 Dallas organizations. The largest turnout of the current Texas tour was on the streets to greet Kennedy. He was being greeted lavishly by the crowd in a very warm Texas welcome when the bullet fired out of the crowd. Dallas has been a hotbed of criticism of President Kennedy and his administration by outspoken rightist groups. Only 2 weeks ago, Ambassador Adlai Stevenson of the United Nations was in an incident in Dallas when he was besieged by pickets, far right-wing pickets, outside of a speech he made there, and he was struck in the head by a picket sign by an outraged conservative who felt we should not be in the United Nations. Even today, through Dallas, there were cars touring the streets with signs, U.S. or UN. Let's recount again that President Kennedy and Governor Connally of Texas lie in the emergency room at Parkland Hospital in Dallas as an anxious world waits to learn how serious are the injuries that they suffered from an assassin's bullets. President Kennedy has been injured apparently in the head, Governor Connally of Texas in the chest. 3 bullet shots were heard to ring out as the president's car drove through the crowded streets of Dallas on the outskirts from the airport toward downtown. In New York, the New York stock...
Yes.
And this afternoon, that's 5 minutes ago, after the market took a violent downturn at the news of the assassination attempt against President Kennedy. Let us recall for you now what has transpired in this...
KRLD is reporting they've been told by somebody in the hospital the president's dead. Only a rumor, but they've been told that. KRLD is saying.
Well, that's a repeat of something that you heard reported to you directly a moment ago from KRLD television in Dallas, and that is the rumor that has reached them at the hotel that the president is dead. Totally unconfirmed, apparently, as yet. However, let's go back to KRLD in Dallas.
Operating room, we do not know what his condition is, but the report is that the president is dead. This is not confirmed. This is something that, This is something that the word just came to us a minute ago. The word we have is that President Kennedy is dead. This we do not know for a fact. The word we have is that he is dead, that he was shot by an assassin at the intersection of Elm and Houston Streets just as he was going into the underpass. The word we have is from a doctor on the staff of Parkland Hospital who says that it is true. He was in tears when he told me just a moment ago.
Pints of blood have been rushed into the room for transfusion purposes, and 2 priests were called to the room. There is the report in Dallas, you heard from our affiliate there, Eddie Barker, that the president is dead, but that has not been confirmed by any other source. And as late as 15 minutes ago, it was reported by aides outside in the corridor that he was still alive. The extent of his injuries, whether they are indeed critical or not, is not known either. It was just an hour ago that the incident took place. We have just learned, however, that Father Huber, one of the 2 priests called into the room, has administered the last sacrament of the church to President Kennedy. Regarding the probable assassin, the sheriff's officers have taken a young man into custody at the scene, a man 25 years old. We just have a report from our correspondent Dan Rather in Dallas that he has confirmed that President Kennedy is dead. There is still no official confirmation of this, however. It's a report from our correspondent Dan Rather in Dallas, Texas. In Dallas, Texas this morning, President Kennedy and Governor Connolly of Texas shot as their motorcade proceeded from Dallas Airport to downtown Dallas, where the president was scheduled to make a speech. The assassin perhaps succeeded, word is that he did, in killing President Kennedy. The president taken to Parkland Hospital, where a moment ago 2 priests left the room and said they understood the president was dead. Our own reporter in Dallas also says that he has information that the president is dead. This official word has not come, however, from Parkland Hospital as yet. From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago. Vice President Lyndon Johnson has left the hospital in Dallas, but we do not know to where he has proceeded. Presumably, he will be taking the oath of office shortly and become the 36th President of the United States.